Hey, Ange!
What's cooking?
My Colgate smile automatically turned on.
Been to the dentist?
No.
Okay, we're
Hello.
here.
Good afternoon, my dear.
Hi, babe.
Nice to
Everything
see
good?
you.
Good to see you too. Good to
Yeah.
see you too. Um,
And I'll be the first to say, welcome to a new episode of the 5th season of Black
Black
Boomer
Boomer
Besties
Besties
from
from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn! I'm still doing that. It will continue into our season 5. That
I
is
like it.
incredible. Yeah,
I like
it's
it.
staying. It's staying. It's not
It's
going.
staying. It's in. But I'm wearing green today. You know why?
I don't know why.
And I put on the green glasses to match.
Okay, I don't know why, other than that it's my favorite color and you wanted
That's
to.
why. Isn't that enough? Do
Oh,
we
that
need
is
anything
quite
more?
enough. You don't need anything
We
more.
don't need
That's quite
anything more.
enough.
It's your favorite color,
That's,
and I put it
oh,
on.
I appreciate
I'm
that.
here for you. I
You
heart you,
are.
bestie.
It's so funny, but I was going to also wear that color. It's just that it's a little chilly in my room, and I wanted to wear something. I wanted to wear something else on the bottom. And so, anyway, I know
Okay.
I don't have my
I
arms
know.
are.
It's just that was incongruent.
It's true, but it was just my thinking it through before I chose this. I was going to wear that. And I'm like, no, it's too cold. But then I ended up in this. Anyway, we're going to move on.
All
We're
right.
going to move on.
So we're going to do one more thing that it's just going to be like in honor of our 5th season and just to connect with you a little bit more, if I may.
Go for it.
All right.
Oh,
I got a sleeve done.
oh my goodness. Can you explain? It looks amazing. That's just making me want to finish
Doesn't
my
it?
arm. Oh wow. Wow. I've been itching. I've I would like to get a tattoo for my dear Topaz, because this has become like a memorial arm. So I've been wanting to do that, and I'm getting that feeling more and more.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's making me like maybe I'll do it this week. What? Explain, Lucy.
Okay. I don't have any tattoos.
No, you do not.
No. And I figured that if I'm going to go all out in keeping with our bold branding,
Uh
I
huh.
should just go all out. So I go from 0 tattoos
Right, right.
to an entire sleeve. I'm sorry, I'm messing with my headphones. Pardon
It's
me.
okay. I can't hear any scratchiness.
Oh, to an entire sleeve of tattoo.
Yeah, tell me. It looks amazing. What is it?
You just gonna it's a whole I should have worn a short sleeve, but I didn't think of it. It's a Hawaiian floral print.
Okay, Leslie, I want to know what is it? Not what it does it depict, but what is it? It's not a
If I'm trying to
painful
be
tattoo like
cagey,
these.
can you?
Let's
How do you
go.
know? It was very
No.
painful,
Oh, okay. Because you would not
and
be
it took
wearing
a long
something to
time.
cover it. You would not be wearing something to cover it if you just got that tattoo done.
I'd like to move on
We promised honesty. We
because
promised.
Ern hasn't seen it yet.
Oh my gosh, he's gonna have a fit.
Anywho,
He will not immediately think, oh, that's not real. He will immediately think, what are
yeah,
you,
because he doesn't
crazy?
know that temporary tattoos from Amazon
Yeah.
are a thing.
Oh my gosh, it's not, it's so well done. I thought at first it was like, they have those mesh sleeves that you pull up, but it
Oh, yeah,
looks,
yeah, yeah. I've seen
yeah,
that
but it looks
actually.
more on your skin It looks good. Maybe that's what I'll
Yeah,
do
thank you.
in the
I've
meantime.
heard that it'll last maybe a week or so.
Really?
So we'll see. Yeah.
Oh wow. I should get that on my other arm to test that
I
out.
know.
All right, very
Feel
good.
a
I
little like a
approve.
14-year-old, but it's
I
okay. Thank
approve.
you. Thank you. Okay.
So we're gonna talk about something that is a little serious, heady, in in recognition of what's been going on in Israel and Ghana, Israel and Gaza, and which actually I should not state it that way because Gaza is a part of Israel, is a part of the state of Israel. So between the state of between the IDF, Israeli Defense Force, and Hamas and the people who
Yeah.
live in Gaza.
You
But
know,
we also,
it's kind of tough for me. I'll just put it out there. It's tough for me to even talk about for on this podcast specifically, but in general, because one, I don't I don't want this to be a political forum per
mm-hmm,
se.
mm-hmm,
That wasn't the intention of our creating this podcast.
not
There
at all.
are many podcasts, and not that I don't talk about politics, I certainly do, and I think that they involve me, and
Mm-hmm,
so it's not that. It's just that I didn't think that this was the proper forum for it.
right.
But there's just so much going on in this case that I'd
Yeah.
like to just make some mention of a few things that I've been thinking.
Yeah.
The other
Same.
thing, I am in no way expert, very knowledgeable. I have no personal people in Israel other than friends of friends. And I got to say that a lot of the information that I'm getting is how many people are getting it from television, from mainstream media, a little bit from some other smaller networks, word of mouth. And I just know that we, because of the way information is disseminated, cannot believe everything that comes across the television.
For
Um,
sure.
right. So, in that regard, we might be seeing 60% of what's actually going on, certainly in terms of who's to blame and who did what and all of this stuff. So, I
Mm-hmm.
just want to make a note that I'm aware, of my lack of experience, my novice at this, and as a human being and as a humanist, I have opinions only.
Right. And since you made that very personal, which was appropriate, I will make my statement um, around whatever I say here. Um, I do have, uh, by Jewish custom, I am Jewish, Sephardic Jew. It's not a faith or a culture that I was raised in, but it's always been very clear and documented my lineage of being Sephardic. And I also come from a home, a family that has always seen injustice as injustice. Um, and, it we didn't choose right or wrong based on who was doing it. We saw it, and fortunately or unfortunately, it's the way my parents raised me. If I did something wrong, it it didn't become right because I or members of my family did it. Wrong is wrong, and you could embrace someone who has done something wrong, but you can still say that it's wrong and try
Sure.
to figure out how to. So I do come from that background, and I have a myriad opinions on this. Much of it is rooted in my being of a group of people who have been oppressed for hundreds of years. So I do bring that thinking and what kind of naturally comes to me as framing of how I think about what's going on here in the current. It is framed by being a Black person, a Black woman who has connected with oppressed people, including Jewish
Mm-hmm.
people, including Palestinians.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what I will say as a general statement. And we do also want to talk about, since we're going into some election season here in the United States, we wanted to make some
Yes.
statements about that
Today
too. Yeah.
it is election day.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you
Tuesday,
should know by
November
now,
6th.
if you don't know if you don't know what you need to know, go find it. Go online, find out who your local reps are, find out what their positions are. There it's there. It's there in all different flavors, whatever news source you get your information from, you are comfortable with it, you feel that it speaks to you and it's use that. I'm sure they have a list of candidates and their positions that you can read about and spend 15 minutes doing that and then
Exactly.
going and making your vote count.
Exactly.
I was
Exactly.
reading. I don't know why this popped across because of my news sources. I keep up with the news, but recently I read that it was only 44,000 votes that really separated our Biden from Trump, right?
How
Because we
so?
have
What do you mean
because
by
we
that?
have an electoral college, right? So even though it was 7+ million votes,
Popular
actually
votes.
popular votes, because we have an electoral college, it depends. If you win a state, you get all the electoral college votes for that state.
Hmm.
So when you break down states like Georgia and
Arizona, I believe.
Arizona was on the list, yes. When you break
Hmm.
those down, had it not been for these 44,000 votes, and that's like
So
11,000.
44,000 votes. That's like fewer people that's at a Taylor Swift concert or
Yes,
Beyonce, like, Giant
right,
Stadium,
right,
MetLife
right.
Stadium, I guess it's called now.
Exactly.
So
Made,
take
yeah,
all if all those people that sat in that stadium on one day, if
mm-hmm,
they went and all voted for one or the other of the candidates,
yes,
we could have a whole new 4 years
yes,
leadership than we
yes,
have now.
correct.
That's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
wow.
So when
We
you
don't
think
think
you're,
like that. We don't think like that.
well, that's why we're saying it here, because we want people to think like that. We want to
Hmm.
think about the fact that even locally here, a few years ago, as you know, I was precinct chair for the political party that I support.
Hmm.
And so I saw some of the numbers, and it was single digits that separated winners and losers locally here. Single digits.
Ange, but people don't realize, like, I know some people, they only vote every 4 years in the
Yeah,
presidential election.
right, right.
And what they don't realize, depending on, well, in most cases, I'll even say, the
Mm-hmm.
local elections are so much more important and personal to you and your day to day living
Right.
than the 4 years who's in the high executive office.
Absolutely.
Even
Absolutely.
on the gubernatorial level,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
often not as important as the very local level.
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
community. How you
Right.
like your taxes,
Mm-hmm.
your property taxes, how you like them.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't realize is that the people who make the decisions about the tax rates and budgets and things
Right.
like that
Right.
is that's all in the local level.
Yep.
Trump and
Your
Biden have
water.
no, they don't care. Well, Trump does have a golf course in New Jersey, but he don't give a darn about the taxes. I'm sure, like I do. But so I just happen to have this next to me.
Oh,
It's
good.
a prop, right? But
Yeah.
I'm filling out my mail-in ballot, and
Mm-hmm.
there was a ballot question that I didn't really know two sides of it, so I wasn't sure how to vote.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than just tick off yes or no, because I think it's important,
Right.
rather than leave it blank,
Right.
I made a phone call to my council member.
Wow.
And we had a 20-minute chat about the issues and what they're really voting on and what does this
Right.
mean and all of this.
Right.
And
Right.
they were able to give me some insight.
That's awesome.
And I know how I'm
Yeah.
going to vote, and I'm sticking this in the mail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mañana.
Just like that.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah.
that. I remember.
So I'm going to have a say in terms of what this ballot measure, and especially because many people may not be that aware of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe my vote is the one that takes it over.
Yeah. Yeah. For
We really
sure.
need to start
For
thinking
sure.
like that, honestly.
Yeah. And even a few days ago, a someone was canvassing in my neighborhood, and I happened to be sitting out having my cup of coffee in the morning, and she came by and she gave me a pamphlet, and she said, "Oh, is there anything that you want me to take back to?"
Oh,
Yeah,
to the
and
candidate.
yes, and I said, as a matter of fact,
Thank you for
I
asking.
would like her to work with Senator Murdoch, Natalie Murdoch, who was the state senator who introduced the Crown
The
Act
Crown Act.
to the House floor. It was not fully brought. It was, I forget the term, but it did not.
Tabled.
It was tabled. Thank you. It was tabled, and so I asked that this person work with her to get it back.
Can I just interrupt for a second?
Yes.
Do you know where I got that, where I learned tabled from?
Where?
Schoolhouse Rock. I'm just a bill
On Capitol
on
Hill.
Capitol Hill.
They
That's where I
don't teach
learned
that
it from.
anymore. Young people, are you getting taught civics in school? I know you don't have multiplication rock and schoolhouse rock and all of those
But
amazing
did we learn
teaching.
civics in school? I don't remember at Brooklyn Tech having a
Yeah,
course
yeah,
in
we did.
civics. I remember American history and all. Oh, I cut that class?
Yeah.
What? I don't remember that. I remember world history and stuff. I don't remember civics per se, but I do know a little bit about civics, and
Yeah.
I knew enough to watch. I'm just a
A
bill
bill.
from
We have to put
Capitol
that. Do you
Hill.
guys know what we're talking about? This
The
what Schoolhouse Rock?
Schoolhouse Rock.
We'll put a link to it. Y'all need
Yeah,
to know
yeah, 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 yeah.
because
It's important. But getting
yeah,
back to you letting that person know what is important to you, and I love the
yeah,
fact that they ask. But this
yeah.
is on the local level, folks.
Yes, it
This is
is.
not Biden versus Trump versus,
Right,
no,
right,
no,
right, right. Yeah,
yeah.
really important. Um,
So
and
get
the
out
the the
today,
the
vote.
way that I'll kind of tie that conversation back to how we opened um, is to say this: if there's any thought that if you have something critical to say about about the state of Israel, that is the same as being anti-Semitic. Let me just give you this perspective. That would say that if you had anything negative to say about Donald Trump and when he was leader of this company, when he and those he put into office were running this country, that if we said anything negative about them, then that would mean that we were anti-American.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that anyone could say that. That if you didn't like the government, that means you don't like the people. They're two
Mm-hmm.
completely different things. Governments come and go. We know that there are people living in these parts of the world that have nothing to do with the, or are staunchly against the people who are governing them. And so let's just separate that right up front. And if you have to
Mm-hmm.
think about that other framing to help you, just a reminder, please let's separate that, because it creates this sense that that you're endorsing violence against a people and not complaining or having issues or disagreeing or being in violent disagreement with the
Right.
government that is in power.
And I think that, and the decisions that they're making. And
Right.
I think that because Ern and I had a brief discussion about it last night, and he was speaking, he mentioned how much, quote, I'll say it in quotes, anti Semitism is running rampant at this point.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the Israeli government and their response to the awful Hamas bombing on October 7th. And I asked him, are you saying that if the world is speaking against what Netanyahu and his government have decided to do in response to that bombing, in terms of bombing non-Hamas related, not,
Mm-hmm.
citizens of
Mm-hmm.
Palestine, hospitals, cutting off water, gasoline to hospitals, electricity, and resources to, if that's what you're referring to, I don't think that's referring to anti Semitism.
Mm-mm.
I think that they're
Mm-hmm.
making a comment about the behavior of the Israeli government in response to their attack early in
Mm-hmm.
October.
Right.
As I understand it, people are saying, and I'm not a war, I don't know war history, but I hear it's war crimes to intentionally bomb innocent people,
Yeah. And I think,
genocidal, et cetera, children,
yeah.
I mean, this is not different from what happens in Ukraine and what happens in parts of Africa
Mm-hmm.
and all over. But we have to, as you would say, Ange, call a thing a thing.
We gotta call a thing a thing.
Yeah,
We do.
yeah.
The I have to tell you, one of the first kind of feelings I felt in my body when the attack happened and the news reports first started coming out. I think I have seen that there has been some change in trying to bring in more than one perspective in what I hear on
Mm-hmm.
the news
Mm-hmm.
programs that I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not by far even or anything like that, but I've seen that there's been some shifts, and I think that that comes from conversations, marches, whatever, that say,
Mm-hmm.
there are people who are seeing the other side, and so it needs to be reflected in what is being shown on the news.
Yeah,
But I have
yeah.
to tell you, one of the first things I thought about, and I was like, Angela, why are you so weird? This is what I was
I've been
saying to
asking that for
myself.
years.
And you know what? Now it's
I don't
like,
have an answer yet.
Nor do
Were
I,
you going to
but I
tell me?
like
Were you
it.
going to reveal why?
I'm going to say why. But
Oh, okay.
well, I don't know why, but I like it. I like it now. But here's what I thought about. All jokes aside, this is what I thought about. I thought about Nat Turner. I thought about
Mm,
slave revolts. I thought about who says who is who's telling the story about what happened, what justification there is, who was right, who was wrong, is there provocation, is there not? Who who decides, right?
mm,
If to say whether this is what started it, right? Came out of nowhere. All of those ways that
mm-hmm.
this was being framed, even
Yeah.
calling it horrific. To who? I mean, just saying. Like, so I was thinking of Nat Turner, and if y'all don't know, he was the person who led one of the I want to say many. I know that there were definitely more than one, but he is the most famous leader of a revolt of us enslaved people
Slave rebellion. Hmm.
rebelled against their enslavement, and it led to attacking their enslavers, killing, and he was caught, and you can't imagine what they did to him. But
Hmm.
he was considered barbaric. He was considered, unprovoked.
Hmm. Hmm.
All of these things, and that's what I thought about. And just
Mm.
yesterday,
It depends on where you start
it
looking
depends
at the
on
story.
where
Yeah.
you are sitting. It depends
Hmm.
on. It totally depends on that, and that's not. That's not. You know, facts really. You can say that these things happened, but when you add the the judgment words like horrific, I don't think what Nat Turner did was horrific. I think what he did was fight for his freedom. For example, it doesn't
Hmm.
mean that people weren't killed, but I wouldn't put that label on it. Do you
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I'm just kind of calling out that these things really depend on, and that's almost one of the reasons why you have to really be more critical about your points of view
Hmm. And
on
I, yeah,
this.
and
Yeah.
take a step back. I'll just add on to what you said. I would describe some of the things that's going on in that part of the world in Israel and Gaza right now as horrific. I
Hmm.
think it was horrific of Hamas to drop a bomb or to attack people in Israel on October 7th and the bloodshed and the taking of hostages. I think it's horrific.
Hmm.
Uh, I also think it's horrific the response to the deaths, bloodshed that's going on the other side to the Palestinian people. So I can, as a human being, describe these
Hmm.
events as horrific. I would not say that it's an easy fix,
Hmm.
and
Would you
I don't.
describe Nat Turner, what he did, as horrific? And if not, tell me the difference for you.
If I were the family members
Well, you're
that were
not.
killed,
You're not,
hmm,
and neither are you an Israeli citizen
right,
or a
or a
Palestinian.
Palestinian
So
city,
just
yeah.
kind of based on your proximity in this situation and your proximity, even just that you read about this in history,
Sure,
would
sure. I
you
would
tell me
still,
about that?
I would use the word horrific.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I would use the word horrific because of how bloodshed would be described,
Right.
or
Right.
multiple people murdered would be
Okay. Fair
described.
enough. Mm-hmm.
I would
Mm-hmm.
call enslaving a group of people and bringing them out of their homeland. And that whole history, horrific.
Right. Right.
So I'm
Okay.
using it as a descriptor without speaking about the history or mitigating the horrors of it by what history or what
Got
have
it.
you.
Got it.
Someone I
Okay.
was speaking to about Israel said, oh, it's easy. You know, this is an easy decision. He was speaking as a Christian person who says that, you know, the land belongs to Israel because God said it and this is it and it's easy. I said, if it were easy, we wouldn't have the conflict.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I what I said at the time, I said, what if you as a Christian, what if, how did I put it? I said, what if a group of devil worshippers pounded on your door and said that our Lord Beelzebub said to leave,
You didn't say.
I don't know, the devil,
No, you're
you
right.
know, the dark one,
It's just who keeps that
the
like.
dark one, said to vacate this premises because this book right here says, right here on verse such and
Yeah.
such,
Yeah.
that
Right.
this is our land
Yeah.
and you get the heck out and we're
Yeah.
gonna make you live in a shack in the backyard
Right.
because this is our home.
Right.
So it's not easy, and anybody
Yeah.
who says it's easy is you know,
Right.
I don't think they were thinking that clearly or being very serious.
Right.
The situation is horrific, and that whole region, they're in my prayers every day.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I pray for, one, is that the innocents be granted mercy. I just was listening to, and I've been off of the television. I've been off of social
too.
media because it's too much for me. I just think about the people in hospitals suffering and having surgeries without anesthesia.
Yeah.
People without pain medicines for their suffering.
Oh,
And these
my
are
gosh.
not people who voted for Netanyahu. As I understand it, he doesn't have a very high approval rating, or not the majority, as I understand it. Again, this is just information I've heard.
Yeah.
Nor does Hamas have total support from the Palestinian people. Yet these are the people that are suffering and being held hostage.
Yeah.
And all they want to do is live their lives.
Yeah.
They just want to do the things that we all want to do. We just want to go to work. We want to love our children. We want to live in a home. We want to drink clean water. We want warmth when it's cold.
Yeah.
Somebody has to, we just have to pray.
Yeah.
God help them. God help us all, you know?
Yeah.
But God help
Indeed.
them.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really difficult. I will add to that you know, these, at the end of the day, as you just said, Les, it's people. It's people, and whichever way you're leaning, or even if you have a neutral position on all of this.
That's what I was just thinking. It's like, why do we, and I think that's the misperception in my mind that
Hmm.
we don't have to lean one way or the other.
Yeah, but
If we can, yeah.
some believe that if you don't lean fully into one side, then you're for the other side, right? That's kind of a common thing. If
Mm,
you're not with us, you're
yeah.
against us. That
Yeah.
way of thinking. Um, but war has never led to peace. I'm gonna say it that way because it may simmer, it may calm things down, but what typically happens is the losers, they start to um, branch off, they stay angry, they form
Hmm.
groups like Hamas. That's what that came out of.
But do there, I don't know, I'm just talking, and
Yeah.
maybe this is why I went into medicine and not politics. Does there have to be a winner and a loser? Does it have to be? I mean,
Yeah, they're
can two people equally win or equally lose so
in
that there's no hard feelings?
I
You know,
I don't know. I think I don't think that we're built that way, or I don't think that our civilization has developed that way. I think that maybe that has been or will be again, but I don't think right now in the way that things are designed around winners, losers, rich and poor, um, haves and have-nots.
hmm
So much of our systems are built around a binary,
I was just gonna
and
say we make
yeah,
these binary choices when there's human beings and we are
right,
not. The world is not always binary.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
right. Binary is easy. It's not kind. It's easy. It's easy.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
All
Les,
right. Let's just continue to pray.
absolutely.
Pray
Yeah,
for clearer heads. Pray for the hostages that are being held that they be released safely. Pray for the people who are wounded that their wounds heal and that their mental wounds are not so pervasive. That the children get to
yeah.
remain
I want to pray
children.
for the trauma, that the trauma be eased. You just see people, especially little children, shaking like they are in that uncontrollable state of their bodies just reacting to what they've seen. Um,
And we know,
yeah.
Ange, from the other war torn areas around the world, Serbia, many countries in Africa,
Hmm.
when the children of war grow up into adults,
Yep.
that's when they're grown ups making decisions out of
Yeah.
dysfunction.
That's what I mean about war leads to war because survivors remember, hold in their bodies and their minds the trauma, which leads to the next thing.
Yeah. And
So
hurt people then hurt people.
yeah, yep.
Okay. Wow, what a
Well,
way to end. But
listen,
serious things happen.
that's right, and
But I'm
we
glad that we talked about it a little bit because, we haven't talked about it publicly, but we all
right,
feel, you know.
right,
And don't
and
forget to get out and vote. It's
please,
important. If you
please,
hear this today, this is election day. If you haven't gone, it's important. All right, so this has been another episode of Black Boomer Besties from Brooklyn.